Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast, where we sit down with local businesses and we talk about who they are, where they come from, and what inspires them to be in business.
Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast. Today, my name's Rob Verhoeve, and today I have got Russell Cummings from Shifft. Welcome, Russell. How are you?
Good, thanks, Rob. Good.
Mate, really looking forward to this. Tell us a bit about Russell Cummings and Shifft.
Okay, so I've been a management consultant / business coach for the last 38 years. I've had a wide and varied career. I started out working with farmers at some point, and so I got a degree in merino genetics, an honours degree actually, but I worked out working with farming families that I wasn't very good at what you drench the sheep with and spray the crops with.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I had a head for the strategy and the business side of things, and so I started talking to them about how do we run this more as a business and a way of life, and bringing sort of mainstream business planning into agriculture and the things I do with my clients. And I just got referrals from them outside of agriculture and grew into agribusiness and mainstream business and all that sort of stuff. Got promoted up through the company and worked out along the way. I did some corporate work. I was a partner in a change management firm, so I did some defence. I did a whole lot of other things. But I've worked out that I'm really passionate about working with private and family-owned companies. And I love the way that the decision-making cycles are shorter, people are nicer, all that sort of stuff. Yep. You know, that corporate environment changes people, I think, and I didn't enjoy it. And so I love working with private and family-owned businesses, and I really like working one-on-one with them and closely with them and sitting across the table from them and helping them plan their business and then implement it, because that's the hardest part.
So Shifft, now for people that have looked at the heading on our on our podcast today, SHIFFT, it took me forever, and then in the end I just asked you.
Yep.
Explain that to people.
So I rebranded my business a few years ago, and I was looking for something that was a bit different about motivation and change. My previous business name was too long, nobody could remember it, and I wanted something short and sharp. And I was thinking about shift, motivate, move, and I was looking for synonyms for that, and I stumbled across this one, which is Shift with two Fs, which is Welsh for shift. And I thought, that's pretty cool. Looks like we're in marketing, you know, it's got that two Fs thing going on.
What I love about it is it does create a discussion straight away, and it is a point of difference for you, which is fantastic.
And everybody remembers it, which is good.
I know, and I'll never forget it now. You've been doing it, you said 38 years you've been in this kind of business. What is it that gets you up in the morning and still, after 38 years, gets you excited about starting the day?
I mean, every day is different, right? Because I'm talking to multiple clients about different issues, different things. So I love the challenge of that. But I particularly love it when my clients' businesses really start to sing and we start to achieve their goals, no matter what they are, often their lifestyle goals and profit goals, of course. But I love it when we really start to hit our goals and make a real difference in their lives. And I've got clients who've set up, philanthropic trusts and all sorts of stuff to help do good outside their business and that sort of stuff. And we're really starting to make some changes. I just, that's what motivates me, is seeing, those family businesses really look after not only the long term for their family, but the wider society as well.
Give back to the community as well. Yeah. It's a recurring theme within these podcasts, that the people we talk to all have that desire to help somebody else. And I think whatever business you get into, there's got to be an element of that.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm guessing that's what you go in and try and work on with the businesses that you help.
Yeah, definitely, because it's all about making changes, right? So it's all about making the changes that we want to make, and I want to help. I'm there to help. I mean, I got into this business many years ago because as I said, I transitioned into agriculture, but probably what really motivated me was my parents bought a business and set it up and got it well. My dad quadrupled the revenue and still didn't make any money because they didn't know how to run a business properly. And I think if I'd had the skill sets I had, well, I know if I had the skill sets now, I could have helped him, but I didn't. And he did so many things right and a couple of things wrong, and got really poor advice on it at the time. And it just made me think, there's got to be a better way, and I've got to be able to, I can actually help people make a real change. But of course, people have got to want to make that change themselves.
I was going to go to that, because the first step for someone to say, hey, I need some help, that's the toughest step of all, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because we live in a world where all the information's available. We've got all this pressure on us. We should be able to there's a lot of faux pressure, particularly from social media, on people saying, look at me, I'm fantastic. And everybody thinks, well, I should be able to do that. If that donkey can do it, I should be able to do it. And And the reality is very different to that, right? And so it's challenging for lots of people to make that call.
And it's a long-term commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, right? Because I don't have any magic pixie dust, as we were talking about earlier. You know, I just don't have that magic pixie dust to sprinkle on your business, and nobody does. So it's not a matter of if we just do that thing and hold your mouth right, your business will come good. You know what I mean? It's way more complex than that. That being said, we can make significant changes quickly, but it's not a 1 or 2 sessions and you're away. Because even if we've got a good plan and a good strategy, implementation is the hardest part, right? So I coach 70 business coaches around Australia and New Zealand as well, and one of the things I talked about with those guys later is when you're selling sort of programs, it's like, don't pay me for the planning, pay me for the implementation, because most people don't get the implementation right? So they've got these great plans, and that's what happened to me. You know, I'd be sitting there 25 years ago this started, and I was sitting there with business plans that great strategies that businesses didn't even look at again.
That's right, because we've done the work, we've set up the plan.
Yeah, exactly. And what a huge waste of time and money.
For everyone, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought that's just crazy. And so I then started saying, well, we've got to implement it. We've got to make it digestible, break it down into things. And so, you know, there's sort of 3 things I work with clients on. One is make sure you've got a clear strategy, so we've got a plan that works and it differentiates us. The number of people that have a plan that is not that's not viable is incredible.
Yep.
You know, just doesn't. It's not going to work.
Just planning, like putting too much into a plan that just can't be implemented.
Yeah, or there's some basically fundamentals wrong with their business model. You know, that sort of stuff. They're never going to make enough money to generate what they want unless they work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, sort of thing. And even then, why?
Yep.
So you got a clear strategy is really important, and then you've got to work on the capabilities then to execute that plan, right? So marketing, sales, you know, most people are poor at both those.
Yep.
Processes, people, technology, systems, you know, all that sort of stuff. Finance if we need it. All those things, you've got to work on those. Leadership's really important in a modern business to retain, attract and hang on to staff, all that sort of stuff. So we got to work on the capability piece, and then there's that commitment piece about how do we hold people accountable. So as well as regular coaching sessions, I talk to every one of my coaching clients every week. We have a 15-minute call every Monday morning, and that's about what are you going to work on this week? What's the big picture stuff you're going to focus on? Because it's really easy to let all that drop and wait until the next session with me, and then they're trying to do their homework the night before. And we just need to keep working on it and build that momentum in a business. Because the business is tough, right?
Yep. And I guess we talk a lot about it on this podcast is the planning and how those things evolve over time, because the plan you set today is not going to be the same plan you're running within 12 months.
No.
And that's why it's important to have those constant reviews, I'm guessing, and I'm guessing that's part of what you do.
Yeah, it is. So I normally like to have a 3-year plan where we're heading, the big picture stuff, and even a 10-year plan. So where do we want to be in 10 years? What does that look like, smell like, feel like? Bring it back to 3 years. Get some clear strategies we're going to work on. They should be largely immutable. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't change too much over the 3 to 5 years. But then the operational plan, what are we going to do in the next 12 months? That's what changes, right? So the big picture, might move a little bit, but it shouldn't move too much. And then we can start to focus on, well, what are we going to do in the next 12 months? How, that moves us towards our 3-year goal. You know what I mean? And then we break that down to what do we do in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, So chunk it down into bite-sized chunks so we can make it happen.
How important is goal setting in that process?
Oh, that's what it's all about. Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, you've got to set some goals and some frameworks, and I'm a big believer in stretch targets and all that sort of stuff. Not a big believer in beating ourselves up because we didn't meet them, because often we set targets that we didn't think we were going to be able to meet, and then we get really close to them and then go and beat ourselves up.
Consider it a failure when it's anything but.
It was just like you were 20% above where you thought you'd be.
That's right.
That's fantastic. And so, so setting goals and making sure they're realistic is important. Bit of stretch in them and that sort of stuff. But, I meet people who, trying to start up a business and say it's going to be $10 million in a year's time. Maybe it is, but the chances are it's not, and let's pick something that's a bit more reasonable and that we can build to,
Do businesses celebrate their successes enough, do you think?
Not enough. That's a really poor thing we do in Australia. The Americans are really good at it, actually. Yep. But as Australians, we tend not to, and I think it's a really important thing for motivating teams and all that sort of stuff. I was at a conference in New Zealand last week, and one of the keynote speakers was talking about Friday wins, and so these people, different companies now are setting up it's a Slack channel or a WhatsApp group or whatever, and all people do is just type in there some wins they've had during the week, the whole team, and it's just a celebration of what's going well. Because, I think we're hardwired to look at the negative stuff and say, oh, we're going poorly and stuff. And, sometimes I've got to grab people and say, hey, stop for a second. Yeah. Just celebrate this. Go out for dinner, have a few drinks. It doesn't have to be drinks. It can just be celebrate and take the time to acknowledge.
I was going to say, even just taking the time to say, you know what, that went all right.
Yeah, it's good.
We might do that after this podcast.
Yeah, cool.
This podcast went well.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the kind of businesses you work with, you said you work with family businesses, and how many people, staff how big are these businesses? So
typically, so there's a range, I guess, but sweet spot for me, I think, is in that 5 to 20 mil turnover, maybe 50 mil turnover spot.
Yep.
I've got clients much bigger than that, and I've got clients much smaller than that. So it's a bit about attitude, but I find if they're in that, certainly in that 2 to 20 mil space, then or even $1 million, we've got enough people to start, so I can pull the owners out of the business a bit, extract them away from the day-to-day and the doing and stuff, and get them focused on some more strategic activities that are going to grow the business, set the platform for growth and that sort of stuff. Not saying you can't do it if they're one-man bands or one-person bands, and it just means we probably it's a little bit about priorities and making sure that we keep making money as well as growing for the future. So
it's a balance, isn't it? At that size,
but it's more about attitude than anything else. I've got to be honest, rather than size of business or industry or anything else. It's more about that attitude of I want to grow, I want to take it to that next level, and I'm prepared to invest some time, energy, and money in this process. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, because we all say that we don't have the time.
Everybody's time poor.
We all say we're tired.
Yeah.
And then we say we don't have enough money.
Yeah.
But it's always there if you need to. If you're enthusiastic enough or you're motivated enough to take the next step, you'll find it.
Well, and the big thing is, I find in life there's must, should, coulds, right?
Yep.
And so there's a hyper must we have to do, but I find people are doing shoulds and coulds. And are they the right things to be doing at that particular time? So often it's about priorities rather than time, right?
Yep.
There's plenty of time.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, in my business, I've gone from working 70-odd hours a week back to less than 40 on more revenue, right? Because I put some time and energy into trying to work that out and work out, well, what things should I be doing? And it meant I had to stop doing a whole heap of things. Other things I had to re-engineer, so I took a lot less time. And some of it I delegated and outsourced.
And then the end result is that your business is running smoother.
Yeah, and my life's better.
You're riding motorbikes all over the place.
I am, yeah.
So
I only work 4 days a week. It's pretty good.
It's great. One of the things that I think a lot of business owners, and they'll listen to this and they'll say, yeah, look, that's for me, but, I'm just not sure, I'm a bit embarrassed that I'm going to be asking for the help.
Yeah.
How do you counteract those people when you meet them for the first time?
Well, it's interesting. I find we all ask for help, right, at different points. But sometimes it's about having there's a bit of trust involved in that. So as I said, I have long-term relationships with my clients. I don't necessarily work with every client that comes along. There's got to be a chemistry test, if you know what I mean, so that we gel and we get on. And then if we've got that trust and then it's a less of an issue. And part of it is realizing that, we're in this world where I think we talked about it before with social media and everything, where everybody's under pressure. And there's all these role models that we don't see the other side of their lives and all that sort of stuff. And so I think people think that they have to be able to do this superhuman and they should be able to do everything. And quite often having a mentor or a coach or something is just I've had a coach for 25 years, right? And it's the smartest thing I've ever done.
Yep.
Simply because it's that somebody, I've got good ideas, but somebody objective to talk to about them, to talk through any frustrations and issues I've got and all that sort of stuff. So once you build that level of trust with it, it becomes an important part of how you grow your business and how you move forward. And, I've also had clients where where I'm not the right person for them at that particular time, and we've I've been able to introduce them to other people who are right as well. So it's not I'm not saying I'm the right fit for everybody.
But we don't think about it enough in that respect, because we look at it from a sports analogy. Yeah. Every sportsman's got a coach,
yeah.
Right? But then if you're a small business owner, you don't have a coach. What, don't you need any help?
Yeah,
I think we just need to, especially Australians who have a very much an attitude of, I'll get through, I'll do it, I'll work hard. And that's an admirable thing to do, but it's not the best way for you as a person.
No, and there's that whole thing of am I doing the right things? You know what I mean? And that's the problem I see all the time. That people have plans and strategies and business models that just aren't going to work, and they've talked themselves into it, or other people have told them, oh no, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And and as a result, they end up in these businesses that don't go anywhere, and really struggle. And some of them struggle to make a living at all out of them.
So they're just spinning their wheels.
Just spinning their wheels, and it's because they've just gone, well, I can run a business. It's a bit like I can ride a bike, but it's not. Yeah, yeah.
With your business, if a person is coming to you, what kind of information or what kind of stuff do you need to have before they come and see a business coach or a mentor like yourself?
Oh, that's a good idea. It's a good question. I guess we collect a lot of the information along the way, right? So part of my process is we do some diagnostics and have a look at different aspects of the business, get you to self-assess. If I'm working one-on-one with them, then I'll do behavioural profiles and different things to understand the person. Obviously, I'll get copies of their financials, any previous plans, look at their website, all that sort of stuff. But there's nothing special they need to do before they turn up. It's just, that's part of the process. We work through all that to get a quick and dirty plan for you to get up and away quickly, because I don't believe in, it sounds like I'm spent a lot of time planning, but, we'll do the first plan in 2 to 4 hours, and then you'll have a working plan that we can then, I call it a framework plan, we can go and put some more flesh on that as we go and build those capabilities and say, right, well, how are we going to market this and where are we going to take it? But I don't believe in analysis paralysis, right? We sit there, gazing into our navels and trying to work out what's wrong. Most people, I can ask them, to be honest, I can spend a bit of time with them, we can ask some questions and get into it. They know what's wrong with their business, right? They know the things are wrong with it. If you're in business, most people are reasonably intelligent.
Yep.
They understand what's going on. So it's not hard to ask some questions and get some good answers, and then say, okay, well, where do we want to take this? What do we want to do with it? What do you want it to look like, smell like, feel like? What does it need to deliver for you as a person,
So basically you need the honesty.
Yeah, honesty.
And then the commitment to follow through and listen to advice, I guess.
Yeah, listen to a bit of advice. And it's not, I guess people are worried that coaches are going to walk in and say, well, we've got a checklist and you do this, you do that, and you have to do that and everything else. It's not like, well, it's certainly not like that with me, right? So for me, it's sitting down saying, well, I know some things that work and I know some things we should do. At the end of the day, it's your business. You make the calls on some of that stuff and we'll talk it through. And I'm an advisor, right? So I can give advice and we can run through a process of working together to come up with plans. So I don't turn up and write the plan for you and then go, there you go, see you later.
Yep.
We work through that together and build that together, because you've got to own it, right? If you don't own it, then it's a complete waste of time, right?
And it's a relationship then that's built between the two of you.
Yeah, it is. And we talk regularly. I sort of weekly I have a call with everybody. We'll do, at least one call, one other longer session a month if we can, sometimes 2 or 3.
Yep.
Depends what's going on in the business. All that sort of stuff. So it's a long-term relationship. And, most of my clients, there's a chunk that come on for 20% of my clients will come on for probably a year or two and then go, it's really not for me. And they work out they didn't really want to coach in the first place. They wanted somebody with pixie dust.
Yep.
And then, but there's a big chunk that stay for 5 years or more, probably 60-70% of them. And then there's another big chunk that stay on for over a decade. I've got clients I've had for well over a decade now.
Can't get much more of a recommendation than that.
Yeah, well,
someone's willing to stay with you for that long.
Yeah, and but it's about changing and evolving and continue to add value and all that sort of stuff, because it never changes, right? The business gets bigger, but we've got all these other things we have to address as we go. Also, we've got more people, more products, more customers, more supplier issues, all that sort of stuff, and we've got to work on those.
Yep. I looked at your website for a while this morning and had a look through it, and it's a great website, because one of the things that I loved on there was the amount of free resources that people can go and just have a look at and get a feel for what Shifft is about.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
What would you recommend for people to look at, especially in that bit of the free resources? Where should they start?
Well, the reason I put the free resources out there is for 2 reasons. One is business has been very kind to me over the last 38 years, and I'm quite happy to put back in. And there are people who could benefit from my experience and some of the things that I do and stuff, but may never ever be clients or never want to be a client, and that's fine. I'm happy to help those people with some of that sort of stuff. The places I'd be starting, so that's why I do it, and I want to I'm quite happy to do that. But where I'd start is there's a Time to Thrive guide, Time to Thrive 2023.
That's what I looked at.
Yeah, which is really just about, this process of building a plan and getting sorted and getting on top of things, particularly in this chaotic environment we're in at the moment, right? It's pretty crazy at the moment. Out there, there's lots and lots of opportunities. I'm probably spending more time with people talking through which opportunities we're going to focus on rather than
finding opportunities.
Yeah. So, and it's then how do we get the people to do that, all those sort of things that go with it. But the Time to Thrive guide is good. There's about 50 webinars there that I've done over the years.
There's a heap.
There's a truckload of videos. There's quite a lot of stuff. There's 2 free training courses. So, I was at a networking thing this morning, and one of the things I talked to people about was, jump on and do some training in marketing, but particularly in sales. I find that most people are fairly ordinary at sales.
Yep.
And you've done all the good work of getting in front of people and all that sort of stuff, and then you
can't close it.
Can't close the last end, And I know in my business I went from 20 or 30% close to 80, 90% close. Makes a huge difference, and it's not about hard sell, right? It's actually just about having a conversation with people and understanding what their needs are. So some of those resources are all there.
I think the best thing about the resources in there too is that I got a bit of an understanding of who you were before I even met you.
Yeah.
And I think that because you come across in those as a very genuine and someone that does just want to help.
Okay.
And that's certainly something that people can get a real feel for going through some of those resources there. And I definitely would recommend having a look at the Time to Thrive guide. I just like the title of it as well. I thought, it kind of says do it now.
Yeah.
Now's the time. Why wait?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what we...
And that was coming out of the back end of COVID, I had people going, where do we go now? And I said, I think now's the time to put the hammer down.
Exactly.
And go for it.
Exactly.
And that's where that came from. It's interesting. I find people will like it's in this modern world, people go and check you out off social media, or they'll go to your website and all that sort of stuff. I find very rarely do I have somebody come on who hasn't watched a few videos and download the guide or watch a webinar or two.
Or listen to a podcast.
Yeah, or listen to a podcast. Yeah, exactly. Which is a way of test driving you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great way.
Work out I'm not an axe murderer and
anything but
somebody.
And you're not a bikie as per the traditional sense of the bikie.
I haven't got a tattoo. I'm pretty sad. And
that's right. But I'll tell you what, for people that want to know, Russell came in here and he had a banner. You'll see that on a few photos that we do. He had everything ready. And we couldn't believe that he brought it on a motorbike. We were quite impressed.
I love my motorbike.
Yep. Okay, where to from here for Shifft?
So where to for Shifft? I mean, I guess for the next 5 to 10 years, I really see myself expanding into Southeast Queensland and taking on a lot more clients in that space. I've got clients distributed all over Australia, New Zealand, UK at the moment, and I think I'd really like to start concentrating more into Southeast Queensland and Northern New South Wales and doing that. Still really want to work with dynamic businesses that want to grow. I don't see that changing. I guess, I don't need much of an excuse to ride my motorbike to visit clients, all that sort of stuff. So if I can have them distributed around a bit, that'd be good. A couple of days ride away here and there. It's not too bad. So for me, it's important that I blend both my business and my lifestyle together.
Love it.
I'm married to a beautiful lady with two gorgeous girls in their 20s now. But that frees up some time for me to do things. And one of the things I've learned over the years is, life balance is a really important part of this. And I think if your balance is out of whack, then your business is out of whack.
That's right.
And so I deliberately take a day off every week and go motorbike riding if I can. Sometimes it's too wet and I go and do something else. Yep. But it's interesting. I still get all the stuff I need to get done. All those things seem to need to happen because present is not productive at work, right? Just because you turn up doesn't mean you're productive.
Yep.
And so I find taking the time to get the balance right means when I do turn up, I'm focused and I'm ready to go and kick it out of the park.
I love it. Our time has gone quickly.
It has,
we did say that at the start too. And I say that in nearly every podcast that our time flies. Shifft with 2 Fs, SHIFFT.com.au is the website. If you go there, it has Russell's direct contact details. Book a 30-minute call with Russ. I love it. We will undoubtedly follow your success. It's been great having you here and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks Russell.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the My Business Podcast, brought to you by Media 8 on the Podfire platform. If you want to be on our podcast, please reach out to the team on all our socials at mybusiness.pod.